But we'll go ahead and we'll get started with this session. Thank you all so much for joining. I'm excited to have you all. As I'm sure that you all are well aware of this, having had to teach virtually this past year, I am essentially speaking into the ethos. I can't see any of you all or any of the chat. So I have my lovely friend and colleague, Michelle, who is going to make sure that anything that you chat in, she's going to make sure that I'm aware of it or answer any questions that she may be able to do too. So I want this to be interactive. As I'm presenting, if you think of something, if you want to contribute something, please feel free to message that in, and I would love to be able to include, your perspective on this as well. So you're in this session for the next 15 minutes talking about virtual science experiments and bringing learning to life with interactive lessons. This is truly something that gets me so excited. And last year, we really had to pivot everything that we knew about how to be science teachers and how are we able to still incorporate inquiry-based learning into our curriculums while our students are at home. And that's not an easy thing to do at all. And I want to showcase for y'all today some really interactive lessons that you can take from our virtual digital courses and be able to build upon those lessons within our resource center with all of those experiments that we have already laid out for you to be able to utilize. But first, just a little bit of housekeeping. If you can't hear me, be sure that your computer is allowing audio output and you can ask questions in the chat box, as I mentioned. Type in your questions into the questions box. And like I mentioned, we have Michelle. And then this is a big one. Please, I would absolutely love if you did this. If you would find us on Twitter or Instagram at EverFiK12 and have the hashtag EverFi Empowers and hashtag LearnOn2021 when you share it out. Take a screenshot of any of this, take a screen or a picture of some of the notes that maybe you've taken today, and just share some of this, because I think that is going to be the best way for us to be able to engage people for next year when we have our conference. It's just by word of mouth, and we're able to use our virtual word of mouth through our social media platforms. I just shared a little bit of mine on my social media a moment ago. So hello, my name is Wesley Walker. I am the implementation specialist of Northern California and Alaska. I've been with EverFi for about 18 months. I'm based in San Francisco, California, but I'm sure you hear this accent and think, man, that dude is not from California. You're absolutely right. I'm not. I'm from East Tennessee and was a high school agricultural science teacher for 6 years in Nashville, Tennessee, and utilized EverFi in my own classroom before I decided to make the jump and come work for the company. During my time as a teacher, I was a national agri-science teacher ambassador. So leading professional developments and talking to teachers about inquiry-based learning and how to be able to incorporate more experiments in the scientific method is truly what gets single day. So I'm so excited that you all get to be with me today so I can just share just a little bit of what I'm so passionate about. So first of all, I would love if we could do just a little bit of a chat in, if you wouldn't mind just sharing what your role in your school or your district is. If you're an elementary school teacher, could you chat in the letter A? If you're a middle school teacher, chat in B. High school teacher, C. If you're an instructional coach, curriculum lead, or something of that type of role, leadership role, chat in the letter D, excuse me. If you're a school or district administrator, chat in the letter E. And if you're anything else, type in F, and I want to know. Like, if you're any other role, let me know, because I would love to know just like who I get to be with today. So first of all, I want to share some statistics about STEM's role in our world. Well, here's some data that's from the U.S. Department of Labor and Statistics. I just wanted to just show you all that there is some soft skills that are missing for students as they enter into the workforce. Problem solving, critical skills, and creativity. Leading soft skill that students are missing at 37%. There's a lack. Students are also missing the ability to adapt, be flexible and resilient, as well as missing some communication skills. Every single one of those skill sets can be learned through utilizing inquiry-based learning and the scientific method. I am so passionate about STEM education because there is such a need for our student population. I wanted to share some really startling statistics for you all about the need for STEM education with our female students and also our students of color. If you did not know this, women make up 50% of the population with a college degree. However, of those 50% of women with college educations, only 22% of those enter into a STEM workforce, with the majority of it being in a health related field. 86% of women in STEM are white or Asian. Only 9% of all STEM workers are African American, and only 7% of all Latinx workers, STEM workers, only 7% are Latinx. So, like, these statistics are absolutely alarming. And I think it's something that we need to be really focusing on with our students of color and also our female students, to just know that their voices and perspectives are so needed in STEM careers. One of the ways that we're able to showcase students different careers is through our virtual experiments that we've got within our labs, built inside of our digital courses. So we've got 4 courses I want to talk about specifically today. Our Future Goals Hockey Scholar course, we've got that course which is built out for perfect for learners 4th through 7th grade. However, as a 9th grade agriculture science teacher, I utilize the science curriculum as my back to school initiative to just so I could gauge where my students were, understanding the scientific method. So we've got a course that's specifically on math, we've got a course that's specifically on science, and it's applying those sometimes harder to grasp concepts like kinetic and potential energy or angles, and it's applying it to something in the real world that they can actually grasp onto. We have a course that I think every single middle school student should go through. It is our Endeavor STEM Career Exploration course. It's perfect for learners 7th through 10th grade, and it's going to be showcasing STEM careers that otherwise students really wouldn't know a whole lot about. One of them in particular that I love is the 3rd unit of that course. It's all about students working within a playlist. So they're creating a playlist, but what it's actually teaching them is how to be able to work inside of an algorithm. So it's a part of STEM that, maybe that they weren't expecting to be a STEM career. And then finally, we have one of our newer courses, Plants, Animals, and Our World and Sustainability Foundations. This is really showcasing students what it's going to take for us to be able to make these lasting impacts on our environment and how that we can be more sustainable in our everyday lives. Here's just a couple of interactive graphs of some of the lessons that we've got within our Future Goals Hockey Scholar program. Each one of the your local NHL teams is going to sponsor our course. For me in particular, it's the San Jose Sharks. And one of the things that each one of these teams is doing is they're trying their best to be able to engage with our students and be able to get them involved. In the San Jose Sharks, I'll shout them out for a minute. They created a virtual science experiment week. So we were able to join them and really get to dive even more into what this course is able to offer and be able to engage students in those inquiry-based learning methods. Some crowd favorites we've got in our virtual experiments. In the sustaining global resources section in our Plants, Animals, and Our World, lesson 1 is all about ecosystems, where students are going to learn to describe the natural limits of resources and how those limits contribute to healthy systems. In our Future Goals science lesson, we've got our 2nd lesson on kinetic energy, which I think is such a great way to be able to attach a sometimes difficult a concept for students to be able to grasp and apply it to something fun. I even learned something about this. If you're playing a game of official NHL ice hockey, the ice hockey puck has got to be frozen. And that's because of the kinetic energy as that puck is going to drop onto the ice as that energy is absorbed. So it can't be room temperature and it can't be warmed. I even learned something about that. One of my favorite lessons inside of the Endeavor course is designing a shoe prototype. So students are working how to do computational graphing and how to be able to utilize that critical thinking and creativity to be able to design something. Students really love this lesson. And then the last one I want to mention is in the Future Goals math course is lesson 1. It's all about calculating area, and it's how to be able to uncover the ice. I myself have thought about this very same thing whenever I attended concerts at the Nashville Predators Arena. And I was like, I know I'm on top of the ice right now. How are they able to sustain the ice? But yet there's thousands of people down here for this concert. How is all this working? And how do they calculate the area to be able to cover this all up? This is all that is answered inside of this lesson and inside of the lab materials that are presented. Truly, the bread and butter, I think, of all of these courses is our offline supplemental materials that you're going to find in the Resource Center. This is what gets me so excited, and I hope it's what's going to get you excited as well. I'm going to quickly showcase you just how to be able to access those resources. Lance Burbank went over how to be able to register yesterday. So if you're not familiar on how to be able to get registered, watch his video from yesterday, and it will showcase how to be able to get in and access those resources. So once you're in on your profile, I want you to go onto the main dashboard, and I want you to find one of the core styles. In particular, we're going to look at one of the science ones. So FutureGoals Math or Endeavor. And I want you to click on the Resource Center there. So once you click on that Resource Center, it is going to give you a breakdown of all of the different modules that exist inside the course, as well as experiments that we have already created for you. Everything you would need, lab practicums, editable PDFs, truly anything you would need in order to be able to conduct this experiment with your students is right there. In particular, I want to mention one of my favorite ones. It is creating an ice hockey rink with students at home. So it's we've got a printout for them to be able to do. It's a piece of paper. It's an ice hockey rink, and they'll put it in a pan and they'll freeze it, and then they'll use a penny to be able to act as an ice hockey puck, and they'll scratch up the surface. It's a great lab that I hope that you all will go in and actually implement into your own classroom. So make sure you check that one out. I've got an extension activity that's available for you. One of the things I think that's so practical for students as we're working inside of the scientific method is to provide them with some sentence stems and framework so that they can start to become more confident in their scientific writing. So it's important for us to, of course, include STEM, but we all know that it's just as important for every single one of us to incorporate literacy every chance we can. And by providing these sentence stems to our students, it provides them the ability to be more confident in what they're writing and be more confident in the data that they've collected. So I've provided you all of the resources that you would need for a student to be able to conduct this experiment. Of course, here are variables because it's more than just important to have a student be able to conduct their own. For this lab in particular, they need to go and collect some data to be able to check out different variables within this. And we've got it at different rates. So we've got their resting heart rate after 30 seconds of doing jumping jacks, their heart rate after 60 seconds of doing jumping jacks. So we're really collecting a lot of data here. And then finally, at the end, I think it's so important that students are able to be able to summarize the data. So again, I provided you with some sentence stems here on how students can take that data and be able to summarize what that they were able to come up with. I know that 15 minutes absolutely flies by. Michelle, were there any questions in the chat, or is there anybody else who has a question now that I can answer while we got just a few more minutes left?
Yeah, chat's looking good. We've been talking over here. It looks like everybody got their questions answered, but if there's anything else, feel free to pop in, folks. Great.
I know that was a lot of information that's presented to you fairly quickly. So I just wanted you to know that, all these resources are available for you. Please utilize them. When I was in the classroom, truly the Resource Center is what got me so excited and got me so passionate and made me decide to want to go work for EverFi because I knew that they knew what they were doing. Go look at all of those. It truly is like the bread and butter of what we offer. And I hope that you're going to absolutely love them. Also, if you're ever in need of some good ideas for inquiry-based learning, feel free to connect with me. I'm the schools manager for Northern California and California, but of course I'm also able to help if you're wanting to incorporate some more STEM lessons into your classroom.